Undercover owners saw a waitress with a broken hand in his diner. Maya Carter balanced trays with one arm wrapped in thick white bandages, pushing through the pain while her manager watched with a calculated, cold smile. He didn't just assign her extra work. He deliberately overloaded her, piling on tasks meant for 3 people, mocking every falter, every sigh, every subtle sign of exhaustion. Each plate she carried, each step she forced herself to take, became a test she wasn't allowed to fail. Customers whispered and stared, some shaking their heads in quiet pity, but none intervened. The diner was full, yet Maya moved like a whirlwind of determination and quiet rage, masking the storm of pain and frustration inside her. Sweat dripped down her temple, her muscles screamed, but she refused to falter. Leonard Voss, her manager, was relentless. His smirk grew with every passing moment, a silent predator savoring her struggle, testing her limits, showing her that nothing she did would ever be enough. And yet Maya Carter kept moving, each motion a testament to resilience no one in the diner could see, until the owner leaned closer. It was a crisp, early morning in the heart of the city, the kind where the sun sparkled against the glass facades of nearby skyscrapers. The diner had long been a hidden gem in this bustling neighborhood, deceptively simple outside but bustling and energetic within. The smell of fresh coffee mingled with sizzling bacon and the faint sweetness of pancakes, creating an aroma that was comforting, familiar, and oddly oppressive for Maya. For 5 years, she had worked here, known for her grace under pressure, her careful attentiveness, and her gentle, polite demeanor with customers. She loved her job, not because of the money, but because she took pride in doing her work well, in being a part of something bigger than herself. Yet Leonard Voss had made her life miserable. He had turned subtle unfairness into an art form, praising others for minor achievements while magnifying Maya's slightest mistakes into what felt like daily disasters. Her hand had been broken in a kitchen accident weeks ago. Nothing serious, nothing intentional. But Leonard had used it as an excuse to assert control. Bills didn't forgive, rent didn't wait, and Maya had no choice but to endure. She had pushed herself beyond what anyone could imagine, refusing to let her injury dictate her worth. Even as her manager and co-workers seemed intent on breaking her spirit, Maya moved from table to table, her good arm balancing mugs of coffee, while her bandaged hand awkwardly steadied trays or clutched the edge of a plate for support. Her jaw was tight, her brow furrowed slightly, but her smile remained faintly in place, a shield for the world to see. Customers noticed her struggle but were too polite or distracted to intervene. Some whispered words of pity, others looked on with quiet admiration, and a few exchanged glances that suggested disbelief at her endurance. Behind the counter, Leonard barked orders like a drill sergeant, each command a reminder that she was under constant scrutiny. Each mistake, real or imagined, meant to humiliate and dominate her. Harold Whitman, an older man who most thought of as a retired veteran or regular diner patron, had been watching quietly from a corner booth. His eyes were sharp, absorbing every detail. The tension in Maya's shoulders, the exhaustion hidden behind her faint smile, the way her good arm trembled slightly as it carried heavy plates. Harold had owned the diner for over a decade, but no one knew it. He preferred to watch without interfering, believing that people reveal their true character when they think no one important is watching. Today, however, something told him the truth needed to be confronted. By mid-morning, the diner had grown noisy with the lunch crowd, a mix of business people, families, and regulars chatting over eggs and coffee. Maya's exhaustion was becoming increasingly evident. The muscles in her shoulders ached, her head throbbed, and the persistent pain in her hand made gripping trays nearly impossible. Leonard hovered nearby, a constant shadow of judgment. Each time she moved slower than he deemed acceptable, he made sure everyone saw, calling out her clumsiness in a voice loud enough to carry across the room. Whispers grew among the patrons. "Poor thing. She shouldn't even be working like this. He's relentless. I don't know how she keeps going." Maya heard it all but ignored it, each step a quiet rebellion, each breath a small act of defiance against her tormentor. She dropped a tray at one table, spilling a few forks, and Leonard seized the opportunity. "Clumsy again?" he barked, his voice echoing, always finding a way to mess up. "Can't even handle a simple tray." Customers shifted uncomfortably, some exchanging glances, some lowering their heads. Maya bent down, her good arm shaking, murmuring a quiet apology. Leonard's smirk widened. It wasn't about the spill. It was about asserting power, about reminding her and everyone else that he was in control. Harold, now certain that Maya was being unfairly targeted, quietly slipped into the back office during a lull. Papers were scattered across Leonard's desk, but among them he found what he suspected: falsified misconduct reports, cash register discrepancies, and evidence of theft. Leonard had been exploiting Maya not only physically and emotionally, but financially as well. He had deliberately injured her to ensure she remained compliant, uncomplaining, and distracted, his perfect scapegoat. Harold's heart clenched with anger and resolve. This wasn't just cruelty. It was calculated, deliberate, and deeply unjust. The next morning, Harold returned, moving with a quiet authority that hadn't been present before. Leonard carried on as if nothing had changed, cracking jokes with other employees, but his smile faltered the moment Harold entered. Every step Maya took was watched, every slip magnified. Harold observed, taking in the pattern, the way Leonard singled her out, the way she avoided him, trying to protect herself. The tension in the diner reached a crescendo, a silent drumbeat that amplified with every tray carried, every whisper heard, every glance cast her way. Finally, Harold stood in the center of the diner, tapping his spoon gently against his coffee cup. The soft, metallic ring drew the attention of everyone, halting conversations, pausing clinking forks, and directing all eyes toward him. "Morning, everyone," he said, calm but firm. "I think it's time you all know who I really am." Leonard laughed nervously. "You're joking, right?" Harold's gaze fixed on him. "No, I own this diner." Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Leonard's confident smirk drained from his face, replaced with pale shock. Harold placed a folder on the counter. Pages spilled out, misconduct reports, financial sheets, and photocopied register logs. "I've watched long enough. I know what you've been doing, Leonard. Every false report against Maya, every dollar stolen. And I know what you did to her hand." Gasps rose from the diners. Patrons leaned forward, eyes wide, whispers rippling through the crowd. Before Leonard could protest, 2 uniformed officers entered, their presence alone enough to silence the room. Leonard's bravado crumbled instantly, his protests swallowed by the sound of cuffs snapping around his wrists. Maya stood frozen, her chest rising and falling with tremors of relief, disbelief, and lingering fear. For the first time in years, she wasn't under attack. Harold approached her gently. "You've carried this place on your back," he said softly. "While others lied about you, you kept it running. From today forward, you're not just a waitress. You're the floor supervisor." Tears welled in Maya's eyes, the bandage on her hand trembling as she pressed it to her lips, a muffled sob escaping. The diner erupted into quiet applause, some clapping audibly, others whispering encouragement. For the first time, Maya felt seen, not as someone to pity, but as a person of strength, resilience, and dignity. Outside, the city carried on, oblivious to what had just transpired inside the diner. But within those walls, a shift had occurred. Maya's perseverance, courage, and quiet strength had exposed cruelty, injustice, and bias. It was a reminder that dignity is not defined by wealth, status, or power, but by the strength to endure, to rise, and to demand respect. Her story was not hers alone. It was the story of countless others facing similar struggles every day, often unseen, unheard, and unrecognized. Maya straightened her shoulders, looking around the diner with renewed confidence. The battle had been long, the pain real, but her spirit remained unbroken. Cruelty could not diminish her strength. Truth had been revealed, justice had been served, and change, however small, had begun. And in that moment, a question lingered in the air. How often does courage go unnoticed, and how long will injustice remain unchecked? Her smile, faint but genuine, returned as she moved among the tables. Guiding other staff, sharing a kind word, and carrying herself with the quiet authority that had always been hers but had never been recognized. The air in the diner, once thick with tension and fear, now felt lighter, freer. It was proof that standing up, even quietly, even when the world seems indifferent, could bring about the change one dared to fight for. Maya's story was far from over. It was only beginning.